Welcome back to At Your Leisure, and welcome to Mars.
Actually, it is the red planet. Take a look down here on the ground. That's definitely very red. Now, we are just outside of the town of Bigwater, and not 50 feet behind us is a road. And this flat area was all excavated out. There's a little cliff at the back edge. They kind of filled it in. And this was the arena where they actually did all the fighting, where John Carter's got the big chain and the white apes are out there.
In the big Coliseum.
In the big Coliseum. They built the actual center of the Coliseum where all the thorns were and everything. The rest of it was green. And then they just superimposed all the people and all the other stuff in the theater. But if you look, they didn't have any mountains. So they took a picture of the mountains over here, clipped them off, and stuck them on the green screen on the back there electronically, and then all of a sudden you had this Coliseum in Mars.
That's right, Chad. And John Carter is just the latest in a long history of movies that were made down here in Kane County.
And it dates back clear to the 1920s when a pair of brothers, lodge owners in Kanab, wanted to bring the movies to the real Old West.
Chauncey and Whit Perry were some of the first to realize that Hollywood would never find a better backlot than southern Utah. With camera in hand, they flew over the iconic landscapes we are all familiar with and marketed the area to their contacts in California. The year was 1924.
Fox Film Corporation took notice, and Deadwood Coach became the first film to shoot in the area, thanks to the Perry brothers. In 1931, they purchased a farm in downtown Kanab and converted it to the now famous Perry Lodge. The lodge became home to many of the stars that would film here over the next half-century. Their names are still written above the rooms where they stayed. That was the start of what would become a boom time for Kane County and the Western genre.
We have an absolutely incredible film history. Films have been made here for decades. We have epic landscape that's provided the backdrop for some of the most epic films in movie cinema history.
Soon, every major studio was making what would become known as Little Hollywood their home away from home.
Well, I love it, and it's easy to, it rolls right off the tongue, Little Hollywood, and rightly so. I mean, back in the day when Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and all those stars were coming in here and making movies, this town earned that title.
Stars like Clint Eastwood, Robert Taylor, Jimmy Stewart, and eventually Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack all graced the streets of this small Utah town.
John Wayne's, Ronald Reagan was here shooting Death Valley Days. Some of my favorites are the Outlaw Josie Wales. Maverick, I just watched that one again. That's a classic film with Mel Gibson out by Bigwater.
While some of the productions were here for only a matter of weeks, others stayed for almost a quarter century. Gunsmoke, the quintessential Western TV show filmed outside of Kanab off and on for 20 years, from 1955 to 1975.
But it wasn't just Westerns that found their muse in the grand staircase. Science fiction tales got lost in the otherworldly beauty here as well. The Planet of the Apes, both the original and the 2000 remake, turned Kane County into an alien wasteland where man was slave to ape and the last remnants of humanity looked to Charlton Heston.
After decades of Westerns, biblical epics, and the occasional sci-fi extravaganza, the film industry slowly moved on from Kanab. While movie productions are fewer and further between since the height of the Westerns in the 50s and 60s, Kanab has not forgotten its place as the official Little Hollywood. Programs are in place that invite a new generation to grab their cameras and head out into the wild.
Filmmaking has changed. Everyone's a filmmaker now. And so we want to promote and foster that. We want to build this culture for filmmaking here. The Little Hollywood Shootout is one way that we do that. It's a quick turnaround film competition. We've got a lot of great filming crews coming. It's a really fun project.
Now with John Carter hitting theaters and reminding movie studios of the impactful landscapes of southern Utah, a new renaissance could be around the corner. The Utah legislature has passed several bills that make filming in the state easier than ever.
When they were looking at locations for John Carter, the studio told them, oh, you can only look in Arizona and New Mexico and other places, and Utah was off limits because our incentive program wasn't good enough at that time. During the middle of the location scouting process, Andrew Stanton kept getting pictures going, well, I like that, and they'd say, well, you can't go there, that's Utah. And then we passed SB 14, which improved our incentives program from 15 to 20% and offered a tax credit. And immediately Andrew Stanton was then allowed to look in Utah and found everything he wanted here that created the look of the film, which we're going to see tonight.
We now have Mars rovers that are on the planet taking photographs. You can actually Google Mars and see what it looks like from any iPhone. And so we had very accurate views of like, wow, it really looks like a sort of southwest kind of desert. It looks like oceans used to be there and they've gone away. And we felt that would just help the authenticity, help it be that much more believable if we shot in those locations.
Kane County has an impressive history as the backlot for Hollywood, and it celebrates it every August at their Western Legends Roundup event. Kanab takes pride in its past, but without a bright future, it would have little meaning. Luckily, the future of filmmaking in southern Utah has never looked better. Movies like John Carter will reintroduce the world to this amazing place.
Just last week, the Utah Film Commission, we just learned, approved 8 major motion picture projects for the future. It's the most they've ever done in one signing. And so John Carter has really, truly started a renaissance in movie making here in Utah.
Well, we got to take a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to have more of Mars and more of the John Carter premiere.